dollars eating shrimp, $5 met some girls from Guatemala, now they trying to holler.
Now before they wouldn't bother, now I'm trying to be a scholar, cause she giving all the knowledge to me.
Knowledge to me.
Doing her work every night of the week.
Night of the week.
Like she chillin' up at college with me.
College with me, but we cruising, man. Rolling up at 4:30. Kush same color as a Kobe Road jersey, or a throwback worthy. Giraffe ass high, fresh breeze just passing us by. Cause I'm cruising on a Sunday afternoon. I got my good shoes on, ain't got no bad news. Here's what you say to the lady. Let me squeeze you, oh, let me hold you, oh, let me squeeze you, oh, let me hold you. Why? Cause I don't wanna leave this party, baby, without you. What you waiting for? Hop in the ride.
Okay.
What you waiting for? Hop in the ride. So I arrive at a party at 9. I reside inside Sim, pick 'em we fly. Time's on our side, but look again, then it's 11 p.m. Chalk it on the board. Time to sin, let's begin. Hey, you kinda cute, and I got the loot to befriend both you and your girlfriend too.
You single Tim Jones?
Well, that depends. Just then she turned to a friend and she said,
I really like him.
say word.
I really like him.
Oh yeah.
I really, 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 really like.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to JCT TV. I'm Papa T. As in always in opening, we like to give a great big salutation to the magician in the back, making it do what it do. Big Al, the chief engineer. Big Al, how's it going? We want to give a great big shout out to the entire staff of Sky. We have in the house this evening none other than Stephen Menderes, the president of Sky 13, Mike, Colleen, and none other than Nate. And ladies and gentlemen, we would like to extend a great big thank you to BCAT, MNN, and DCTV and the other networks that actually air our show to make us visible to you, our special friends, because without you there'd be no us. We're going to have the cast of The Few here today, and one Joe Carroll. We're going to also have Ken Hampton. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to send you over to some beauty as we observe the current models of the week, and we want to give a special tribute at some point in this viewing to the Queen of Soul, none other than Aretha Franklin, whom we lost on this week. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to jump out your way and we'll come back on the round table and address the subject matter of time for change.
Say, girl, look here. I ain't playing, girl, I've been trying to be your man. Down to see you laying with Brian on TV saying I ain't playing. Girl, I've been trying to be your man. Down to see you laying with Brian on TV saying I ain't playing. I've been watching you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. I'm here in the midst of great men. To my left is none other than Joe Carroll. That'll be to your right out there in TV land. Joe, how are you this evening?
Great.
Outstanding,
Good to be here.
outstanding. And ladies and gentlemen, we have to my far left, your far right out there in TV land, none other than the CEO of Raise 'em Up Records, Mr. Ken Hampton.
How you doing?
Ken, how are you today?
Excellent. You sound
Outstanding. Ladies and gentlemen, you know, we always usually open up these subject matters and topics during the course of the week, usually via radio. But we actually closed out in a seminar yesterday the subject matter of success breeds success.
Yeah.
And you are actually witnessing tonight this new subject matter for the first time being launched. And it's a time for change. Now, that can strike us a lot of different ways, but as in always, we can sit back and attempt to remedy something to sound great or to be attractive to you, the viewer or listener, or we can actually sit back and allow the spirit to actually lead us, to actually allow us to articulate what the higher forces actually wish for we as men and mankind to absorb, observe, and reflect on and live according to. Right? When we say time for change, this evening, you know, one of the sentences that comes to mind is to detest the present to birth the future. But with that being said, I'm going to throw this to my direct left, your direct right out there in TV land, to Joe Carroll.
Okay. My first thoughts on this, I always come to that thing I heard by someone that said, creative destruction about business. If you want your business to grow and develop and keep up with the times and keep succeeding, you have to incorporate something called creative destruction, where you're always looking to evolve, so to speak, to look at what you have now and see how you can improve on it. So I think there's a tendency with us humans to kind of just rest on our laurels if we have achieved a certain level of success, to rest on our laurels and to go, that feels good, you know, now I can relax. And I think the whole point of creative destruction is don't relax, keep going. It's not going to make you tired, it's going to keep you energized. And your business will continually grow and evolve and improve. And I think with this, I just remember that song from way back, I think it was the late 60s. I can't do the melody, but the time has come today. You know, basically it was about change. And back then they were talking about detesting the present. And they wanted to birth a new future. You know, the hippies with the love movement and all that, as misguided as they were, in my opinion, at least they had that consciousness that something needed to change. And look at what we're seeing today. I mean, it seems like every 10 or 15 or 20 years, everyone's talking about we got to change something. And is it because we're not thinking of, like, creatively about changing, destroying what is present and birthing something new?
Wow.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, I for myself, I like when I think of it. I like to start with the beginning. The Creator God, the Grand Architect, as we call him as well.
Yes, sir.
When he designed everything, it was a thought process that he did. He said, and then he spoke what he thought. He said, "Let there be." So it has to start with a mindset first.
Okay.
When he created us, he spoke everything. He spoke the animals, the planet. He said, "Let there be light." He said, "Darkness was there, and let me create light out of the darkness." And when we as people realize that we were created in his image and his likeness, so we have the same characteristics and attributes within ourselves because he created us.
Indeed.
And when we start with our mindsets, so as a man thinks in his heart, let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ. These are the things that will help us start to change. And as we look back and we seek and search knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, we find out the information from the beginning of time, what worked and what didn't work.
Exactly.
And when we find that out, we'll be able to change and detesting the things that we know didn't work, that don't work. Okay. How many times are we going to continue falling into the same pitfalls and traps of the enemy and doing the same things? We know that if it's broke, it's not going to work. So why are we trying to continue fixing what's already broke? He showed us the way and what's right and what's wrong. If we take our mind and say, listen, I'm going to focus on what's right and I'm going to be able to change and build for the better. Like we're building people first and foremost. Yeah. We deal with people, places, and things. The greatest thing we deal with is people. Yeah. So if we build each other, then everything else will fall in place.
Yeah, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, these gentlemen have said a mouthful already on the subject matter of time for change. When I actually listened to them, I heard Joe say something, I believe it was called creative destruction.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Now, I really want to hear you go a little more into detail on exactly what that is, because I want to fully understand it, before, addressing that. Because there's so many ways that I can take that as well. Brother Ken talked about actually destroying something that's not useful, right? As the scripture tells us, when Jesus saw the fig tree that was not bearing fruit, and he said, let it be damned forever, and it withered up, right? So when something is not useful to you, then it needs to be dismissed. But I believe that the process of dismissing those things which is not useful is simply to focus on the things that is working and build on that right there moving forward in order to be successful, and especially in order to be happy, and especially in order to bring about change. Right? But I'm going to toss that back to Joe, because I definitely want to hear a little bit more about that destructive
Creative
creativity.
destruction, yeah. I think I read it in a book by one of the Koch guy, K-O-C-H, billionaire, you know, I forget what company he runs, but I think it was in that book. And if I remember correctly, it's always, in other words, he has people in his organization who are constantly looking at the status quo, looking at what exists right now and trying to dissect it or whatever, break it down into its component parts and look, how can we improve this? How can we change this to keep ahead of the competition? I think that was their main thing, to keep ahead of the competition and stay alive in the process. So it's looking at where you are now. We can apply the same principle to our bodies even. We look at, where am I at now physically, health-wise, mentally, you know, and we can say, okay, I want to improve. I want to do this. I want to do that. I want my fingers to work better. I want my legs to work better so I can run again. What do I need to do? By doing those things, we're keeping ourselves current, so to speak. We're keeping ourselves ahead of the game even, because somebody somewhere is going to be improving on something that we did as a business, right?
Now, not to cut you off, but before Brother King grabs this, it's really the term that I'm really interested in being broken down. The process I'm hearing, because Brother Ken alluded to the process, you know, when he spoke, of actually bringing about the destruction, right, of things that we find not to be useful. You understand? But when we come back, I want you to actually attack that term, right? Creative destruction, and let's see what we find in there, because it seems to work into the element of time for change and detest the present and birth the future. But I want us to really address that when we return. Right now, what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, as we take sort of a solemn moment, is actually bring forth the beginning of our tribute here today to the loss of the Queen of Soul, none other than Aretha Franklin. And we'll be back on the round table to address time for change.
We got one more treat for you tonight on an evening about the women of soul. I think it is entirely appropriate for us to end with the Queen of Soul. Please welcome back to the stage Ms. Aretha Franklin.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Lord, that
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and we know that the clock is ticking, so we're going to jump directly back into the subject matter, time for change, and we left off with the term creative destruction. So I'm going to throw that back into Joe's lap and let him elaborate on that.
Yeah, as far as I understand it, if you take the two words, right, creative, we have the ability to create.
Okay.
We are creative beings.
Okay.
We can come up with ideas. We can actually create something from what is here on this planet. We can take this and make this. Destruction is the breaking down, the elimination of the
Creation.
yeah, and so when we creatively destroy something, it means it's over a period of time. Time is implied in this because to be creative takes time in our realm, and to destroy something takes a little bit of time in our realm. So destruction of what is existing right now, if we look at what's here right now, we say, gee, this carpet, you know, it's not really in with the times. Things are going on around us, and this carpet, if we show this carpet on TV, it will give a bad impression. So why don't we change the carpet? That thought process of seeing that, relating it to what's going on around, and saying, this should be changed.
Creative destruction.
Creative destruction. We had a thought. It's a thought, like Ken was saying. It's a thought process, the same thing that God had when he created us.
And then he activated it.
Yeah, so if we relate it to God, like, what is God thinking of creative destruction? He created everything and said it was good. But I'm sure that he even, when he gave us the ability to create, he knew that we would take what was existing and change it. We would destroy, in one sense.
Hopefully on a positive
Yes,
level and
exactly.
element. Brother Ken, I'm going to throw that term creative destruction to you and how it relates to time for change, and let you elaborate on it.
Yeah, as you guys are saying about, you know, being creative, in order to create something, you have to have a thought process.
Indeed.
You have to think of something. We are not creative without thinking. So in order